Alright, well, we're back. Yeah, we just did a short one earlier. Not usually off of work this early, so I was like, alright, we'll throw another one in. I tried to take the kid to church, but he was not feeling up to it. His allergies really bother him, and he also didn't sleep very much. So, he was in rough shape. I was like, alright, go home and sleep. But hello. How did the working go? Well, we're not in the same place in the world, but it was decently warm. Where I'm at. Kind of windy. Ah, doing some heavy lifting, I suppose. I figured that's what you meant. Not in Sword and Shield. You do it in Scarlet and Violet, or in Legend ZA, or Arceus. It's not too bad. But Sword and Shield is like the last bastion of real shiny hunting. Before they made overworld hunts and stuff like that and made it pretty easy. Like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee is pretty chill as well because of the overworld shinies. But when you have instance encounter based shinies, pretty tough. You could always just play through it, get the shiny charm to make it easier on yourself. That's what I did for my first hunt. Well, technically, no. I think my first hunt was just with Masuda. I hadn't completed the shiny charm yet, I don't think. I just did Masuda. All you have to do is get to the nursery for Masuda. Which it doesn't take very long to get to the nursery. And then you just need a foreign language ditto, which I have hundreds of on my main profile. I can give you one. There's also a ditto trading trade code that I'm sure people still use. I mean, Masuda would still be legit, technically. But if you mean full odds, I mean, okay. You're crazy! You consider full odds the only way to be legit, then sure. I guess because you're trying to do a shiny-only playthrough is what you mean. Yeah, it might be a while. I mean, Shiny Rickety's good. It's a good Pokemon. I'd be excited to get it. Yamper, not so much. It's good for recovering balls, but as an actual Pokemon, not that great. Can't always get what you want. Sometimes you run into a Rookity. I'd never noticed one, but maybe. Sure. Wouldn't be too crazy if it were. It's an early route Pokemon, usually. Grass Flicker spawn. I suppose so. The early routes also have Choodle. And like you said before, Lotad. It has its charm, for sure. It's just slightly different coloration. Rather than being like the pure yellow, it has like a reddish hue over the yellow. It's almost hard to notice unless you're looking for it. And then Boltund, it's like purplish or something. It just looks like washed out from what it normally looks like. It's super ugly. I have like 7 of them, and I hate them. But in that first route, you can get Zigzagoons for pickup. Item to get pickup items, and you can get a Yamper for ball refunds. Pretty useful early game Pokemon. But you don't get your first swag ball until after the first gym. I think it gives you a friend ball. I mean, Rickety's pretty common. Decided to stop doing overworld encounters. Can you even get Nickit from the Grass Flicker encounters? Okay. No reason to do Grass Flickers then. Avoid those exclamation points. They're pretty easy to avoid. In Glimwood Tangle, there's no overworld spawns. It's only Grass Flicker encounters throughout all of Glimwood Tangle. It's a very unique part of the map. But they do have mushrooms with impidimps. And the one Morgrim that jumps off the rock. I'll be excited when I get there to do the Morgrim hunt, because I've always wanted to do that one, even though I've already gotten the mushroom impidimp. I just didn't see anyone capture on video the Morgrim. It probably exists with the amount of people that exist in the world, but I also never saw anyone get a tree shake Munchlax. If you keep attacking him, he's going to keep respawning. Self-defeating. Not even on my team right now. I have all my Yampers so I can get max ball refunds. And I have a KO'd Electrike for my Thunder Rod, or Lightning Rod. I mean, I guess think positive, though. I try not to think about whether I will or won't get it. Because it only comes when it comes, and if you think about it when you're on the journey, you get discouraged. So you just keep going, and eventually you go, hey! There it is. There isn't one for dark types. There's only one for grass, steel, fire, electric, water. I think that's it. There is something to just make Pokemon spawn faster, which is Illuminate, but doesn't really improve it all that much. It's not really worth it. There's also an ability that makes hatching eggs faster. There's also an ability that makes the odds of a Pokemon holding an item better. There's an ability that allows you to see what the Pokemon's holding. There's one that allows you to see what the Pokemon's ability is. There's one that will synchronize your Pokemon's nature with the wild Pokemon that you're fighting. It's not a bad shiny. It kind of looks like yellow or orange. More like yellow. It's a good one. I've gotten it. I got it in Ultra Sun, I believe. I think I've also gotten it in Pokemon Go. Well, that would be up to you. I don't usually name my Pokemon. When I was a kid and I was playing Pokemon, it really bothered me that their names were in all capitals. They don't have them like that anymore. But I used to rename them the same Pokemon name, but with only the first letter capitalized for everyone that I caught. I mean, you would think you'd give them a nickname if you loved them. That's like buying a dog and just calling it Dog. Be like, hey, what's your dog's name? Dog. That's a dog. Come here, dog. That looked kind of green at first glance. Flip bug's a thing as also. a decent shiny, too. Its base form's not super impressive, but final form's pretty good. Earlier when I was streaming, I was falling asleep like crazy. I've since then taken like a very short nap to try to stop being narcoleptic. Seems like it did the trick. And I should be able to fall asleep fine. I don't think I'd ever noticed that, but I believe you. I have a good feeling about getting my shiny. I don't know why. Did a little bit of Rotom encounters earlier. I still want to get a clip of catching one that's glitched through the wall. I think that'd make a pretty good clip. Well, it's not up to me, but if I were to get it sooner than later, that would be appreciated. Because then I can move on to the second gym and do the third hunt. But, you know, it'll take the time it takes. I swear I've been shedding eyelashes like crazy and they keep going into my eyeball. Feels quite uncomfortable. Yeah, it does. Looks awesome. Way better than the original Zigzagoon. It's kind of an homage to it in a way, though. Yeah, sometimes they're unavoidable. They just pop right underneath you. If you keep running while you're inside one, you won't get the encounter. It's when you stop moving that you get encountered. So you can run through an exclamation mark, and you won't encounter. Now, if you run over to it, then you will encounter it. If it spawns right on you, or as you're running through the grass, you can just keep going and you won't get an encounter. It's when you stop moving that the encounter happens. So if you want to avoid them, just keep on moving till you're out of the area that it popped up. Because Rotom already spawns like crazy if you have Lightning Rod. So, it doesn't really make a big difference. Yeah, you just use Lightning Rod, and he spawns all kinds. And he's super easy, because you just ring the bell of your bike or whistle, and he'll zip over to you. You don't even have to run away from the other Pokemon all that much. If you didn't have that, I think he only has like a 5% spawn. But with Lightning Rod, I think it's like 40% or something, which is pretty high. It might even be higher than that, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't recall it spawning all that often. Tips in what regard? I told you already, getting pickup Pokemon is a good idea. Having a Yamper for ball refunds, or at least one ball refund, is a good thing to include on your team, especially if you're only going to be using shinies to fight with. I also always recommend having a Gallade on your team, because Gallade can use False Swipe, Hypnosis to increase the catch chance, and you can change weather. So if ever you're in a weather that damages a Pokemon you're trying to catch, you can change it. So you get sunny day, change it to sun, so it gets rid of hail or sandstorms or whatever. You can get a Ralts as soon as you get into the wild area, right in those first couple patches of grass. It's a pretty rare spawn outside of Fog, and Fog isn't unlocked in the wild zone until you've already basically beaten the game, or I think until actually you have beaten the game. But there are multiple weathers that you can get in the wild zone where you can get Ralts. You need a male Ralts to get a Gallade, and you'll need a Dawnstone, which you get pretty early also. Hey, you're not there yet, but since you're gonna be, you know, presumably shiny hunting all the way through, the earlier you can get a good false swiper, the better. Make sure that you can catch stuff consistently. That's another thing I always would give to friends. I would give them a breeding ditto and a false swiper. And also, in the wild zone as well as the DLC, you can change your game clock to affect the weather. So if you're looking for a specific spawn, you can just forward your game clock until you find the weather you're looking for, and then you can just keep it on that date. Lotad has an excellent shiny. That one I've gotten. I actually got a shiny Lotad in Sapphire when I was still pretty young. Just randomly got it in the early routes in Sapphire. I also got a Magikarp in Fire Red back in the day. And in the in Soul Silver, I got a Meowth and a Tangela. They're both pretty bad shinies, actually. I got them while I was hunting the legendary dogs. The roaming dogs. Trying to complete my Pokedex. And they appeared and sparkled, and I was like, what the heck? What was that? I caught them. And since then, I've gone back and played Silver and Sapphire, I believe. Or no, Silver and no, Crystal. I couldn't think of what it was called. And I got a shiny Drowsy and a shiny Spinarak. The Spinarak I got before I even, like, it was like in the first couple of rounds. because I had corrupted my original save file that had the Drowsy on it. Or I didn't corrupt it. I reformatted my 3DS, so I lost the save file. So I had to redo it. In Generation 2, the shininess is determined off of your Pokemon's stats. So it was rumored that you could breed shininess down, and technically it was true. If you use a shiny Pokemon with a non-shiny Pokemon, you make the chances of getting a shiny more. And since every Pokemon can breed with a Ditto, then having a shiny Ditto is like the best thing to have for breeding in Generation 2. But technically, there's only a few stats that do actually get passed down, not all of them. So if you get a Ditto with just those stats where they need to be, it's what's called people call it a shiny gene Ditto. And it basically works the same as having a shiny Ditto. And the way you can test to see if it works for breeding is put another shiny in the daycare with it, because 2 shinies are incompatible for breeding. So, and you can tell by the text that it says when you click on them. If it says brimming with energy when you have a shiny in there along with your Ditto, then you know that that one has the shiny gene. You can just keep catching Dittos, putting them in the daycare, and seeing if it says brimming with energy. Once you have one that says brimming with energy, you know that that's a shiny gene Ditto that you can use to breed shinies. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I had to get them twice because the first save file, like I said, got corrupted, so I had to hunt for another shiny gene Ditto. The first time, that's when I got the Drowsy, when I was actually looking for the shiny gene Ditto. I want to actually do a shiny hunt for an actual shiny Ditto in Gen 2, which is pretty tough because I think it's only a 10% spawn rate, and it's full odds, and it's original full odds, so 1 in 8,000. So that would be brutal. And there's no way to increase that spawn either. But it just would be so awesome to have. The funny thing is, though, you can actually get unlimited shiny Dittos, because there's the way that Ditto is coded, if you can get a Ditto to transform, use the move Transform twice, it actually changes its stats to the stats of the other Pokemon. So if you take the red Gyarados, you transfer it back to Generation 1, teach it Mimic, you can use the Gyarados to mimic the Transform on the Ditto, to copy it, so that the Ditto then uses Transform twice, copies over the shiny genes, and it turns itself into a shiny Ditto. You can also take a shiny Ditto and do the same thing with a wild Ditto to create infinite shiny Dittos. And it's just the way the game is coded. I mean, kind of. It requires some legwork for sure. If you get a legit shiny Ditto, then you can use the Gen 2 mechanics to just infinitely replicate it. But Red Gyarados is a guaranteed catch. It's always in the game. So as long as you have that Gold, Silver, Crystal, and Red or Blue, you can get a Gyarados with Mimic, and then create infinite shiny Dittos. Which is kind of cool. Yeah, sometimes it does. I'm telling you, something about looking at the background and then looking at it or something like that. It like transfers over the color, kind of like it when you were in class and it was like, stare at this for a while, then look at this blank piece of paper and blink. You'll see the color transfer. Because your eyeballs like kind of partially save the image on your retina for a second. Kind of like when you look at a light bulb for too long or the sun for too long. It's one of those weird things. Our eyes play tricks on us. There's all kinds of cool, kind of random cool things that you can do in Pokemon. That's why I always like to research what moves Pokemon have so that I can figure out the most efficient way to catch them at the least risk possible of failing. These are my lucky puddles. Can't deviate from the plan. When I used to watch Reversal and he was on Route 2 trying to get a Shiny Phoebus, he had a point redemption on his channel to switch spots. And since I didn't really use it for anything else, I would make him switch spots all the time with the point redemption. And he never turned it off after he was done with the hunt, so I'd still redeem it until he got rid of it. I'd be like, switch spots, and he's like, I'm not fishing. And I'd be like, I said switch spots. And then he disabled it. Oh. It's bubbles. How can there be a puddle inside of a body of water? Another fun fact is the term shiny was actually a fan-driven term because they never classified basically in the game what they were called. But because they had that little sparkle animation on them, people called them shinies, and then eventually that just, they started to include that in the game as well. Because that was the term the fans had come up with. Is shiny? I like it. It looks pretty sick. But, you know, to each their own. His final form shiny is not the best. It looks okay, but it doesn't differ enough for it to be too exciting. The interesting thing about shinies is that all the way up until Generation 6, all the shinies were generated randomly based off of their, like, a random code. Because they had, like, coloration codes, and it would just roll the coloration to change. That's why so many of them ended up being ugly shades of green or barely different at all. And then as of Generation 6, they started actually picking what the shinies would look like. Hence why Greninja is one of the best ones ever. And that means that all bad shinies that they make now, they make them bad on purpose. Because you have to have bad ones for the good ones to be that much better. And that's also why most base form shinies are bad, because they want you to want to evolve them. So almost all the new starters that they come out with have pretty bad base form shinies. With the exception of Fuecoco. Fuecoco's pretty good. Your little pinky. But Quaxly's pretty bad, and Sprigatito's pretty bad. And Grookey, Scorbunny, and Sabalo all have bad shinies. There you go. Kind of looks like chocolate milk, though. That doesn't really follow the theme. Or not chocolate milk, but strawberry milk. I don't know what I'm talking about. I knew what I meant, but I didn't say it out loud. He's Pepto-Bismol. Haven't gotten a wishy-washy in a long time. Wishy-washy. They want to be your shiny. You have to let it happen. In the original Pokemon game, they originally had flying be called bird type. And they changed it before the game's release. Imagine if all the way up until now, we had bird type. And anything that was a bird was just bird. Bird and fire. Bird and grass. That'd be so bad. But we'd be used to it by now. We'd be like, yeah, bird type, sure. Obviously bird type. Bird and water. Obviously, they would have to make new distinctions for other ones if they aren't actually birds, which is probably why they did away with that. Because they're like, what about things that fly that aren't birds? And that's probably part of the reason why Charizard wasn't a flying type. Because it was like, he's got wings and everything, but he's not a bird. Shiny Rookity. Congratulations. Don't worry, it'll eventually be shiny. But not the Nickit. No black and white fox for you. Speaking of black and white, I really like Mimikyu's shiny form because it looks like a washed out, or it looks like a comic strip or something, or like a manga. I'm not sure. I'm not recalling in my mind's eye. I think one more gym, I'll probably go over and get one more egg move thrown on my Applin. And then, by then, I can ride that out until I get my apple to evolve it from the quest next to whichever city that is. It happens. They're pretty relentless. They want to be your best friend. I think it's funny that it became a thing that early routes always have bugs and birds. Bugs and birds. Bugs and birds are always those early ones. And sometimes the birds are actually good, but the bugs are almost always pretty bad. They're designed to be okay early and fall off later, so you can replace them with cooler stuff that you find. That's why if you see someone that has like a Squovit on their final one, you're like, that guy doesn't know how to play the game. Or not Squovit, but Greedent. Yeah, that's one you're supposed to replace. That's what I had to tell my sister when she was playing through. I was like, yeah, you gotta get rid of that one. Upgrade to something better. But my sister, she really likes, like, spooky stuff. So she always gets all the spooky things, like Pumpkaboo and Litwick, Woobat. The spider ones. Anything spooky. Well, I mean, at least it's beneficial. They run away and then something else spawns in their place, so then you don't have to fully leave the route for respawns. Squovits just give you fresh respawns where you don't have to do anything. There you go, both shiny, back to back. Full odds back to back, shiny Nickets. Oh, maybe I was wrong. I was almost certain. But yeah, if you get the DLC, you can also cruise over to Isle of Armor even before you beat in the game. You can do hunts there, you can get a cub foo, you can get a little like kimono thing to wear and craft stuff in the Cramomatic. Get some of the exclusive stuff there. I think they have a pseudo-legendary that's locked to that one. I know that in Sword it's Jangmo-O, but I don't remember what it is in Shield. I have no idea what you're talking about, but you're like Inkay. That used to... maybe that still is how you evolve Inkay. You used to have to level it up while holding your DS or switch upside down. That's probably still how it works for evolving it. That's how you turn it into Malamar. Malamar, which sounds like a it sounds like a candy bar. Hey, can you get me a Malamar from 7-Eleven? And a Dr. Pepper? Indeed, indeed. Malamar's a pretty good looking Pokemon too. So is Inkay. And I think it's actually decently viable. Another good Pokemon, it's not a great Pokemon, but a pretty good one, is Toxapex or whatever. So like the spiky one that comes from Marine. And it has a good shiny. It's a waste of time. They pull the same thing. Trying to be efficient here, not superstitious. The more encounters, the more downers. I'll do it once for $5. I used to tell my kid $5 all the time, and I'd hold my hand out, and he would always just give me 5. Because in his mind, he was like, yeah, there's $5. And I would always accept it, because I play along. Unfortunately, you can't. There's no way of changing your odds, since all the methods are broken. KOing does nothing, except for the Brilliant Spawns, which technically does a little bit of something, but not that much. I'm sure you've probably only seen a handful of Brilliant ones. Basculin! Biggity Basculin! Biggity! I think I'm probably gonna throw a pizza in today. Take it easy. I was thinking about cooking something, but I didn't take out any meat or whatever to defrost. And I'm feeling lazy and tired and ugly and, yeah. There's issues. There was, in fact, a Basculin. But it's a thing of the past. Let's not think about it anymore. He brings bad luck. I want my Chinchou to also have the Fisherman's Mark. Shouldn't be too difficult. Just get a nice little Fisherman's Mark on there. Why not? Why not? I disagree. I submitted an application with the Pokerman's gods, and they replied, "Alright, sounds good." Wrong Pokemon. Ooh. Alright, game. Go ahead and give me them green eyeballs, green bulbs, a little bit of a light blue kind of skin. Alright. Go ahead and bring that on up. Bring it on up. Yep, that's how I shiny react. I'm like, oh, boring. Same old, same old. Been there, done that. Ain't even nothing special. There's a lady that shiny hunts on Twitch, and she intentionally makes sure she doesn't get big reactions to her shinies just because she doesn't like the shiny react meta. So when she gets like a full odds shiny, she goes, shiny. Eh. It's true. We got like a theme going on. Only the eyeballs and the danglies. The diggity danglies. That's what they're called in the Pokedex. It's danglies on its head, glow in the dark. The scientific term. Aracuda. Aracuda's mouth kind of looks like a twirly mustache at the end. Like a hipster twirly mustache. Dang! That looks like that could potentially, maybe, possibly be shiny if it were to want to be. You could also KO it for 299 watts. Ooh, brilliant spawn fishing here. It's like you made it happen. What a coinky dink. Not shiny though. When you're fishing, other animations in the game freeze still. But for some reason, Brilliant Aura doesn't freeze. So I had a Brilliant Magikarp that was jumping out of the water, because the ones that spawn in the overworld splash out of the water like this. But when I would go fishing, it would freeze in midair, but then the aura would still go waft, 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 while it's floating in midair, and I'm like, that is a weird coding combination there. Purloin's got a good shiny too. And so does, whatever its stupid evolutionary form is. I forget. Both pretty good shinies. Not very good Pokemon, though. Pretty bad stats. Yeah, like a maroon. Yeah. Kind of like Rotom, but Rotom's more vibrant. I've gotten it in Dynamax Adventures, I'm pretty sure. Oh man, I didn't reel in fast enough. There was a shiny I just lost. That's 3 of them now. Lost 3 shinies from not reeling in fast enough. What can you do? Alright, we're gonna be starting to wrap up the stream. So we're gonna keep going until we get a reel in that is not Chinchou or Aracuda. Yep, you gotta somehow that shiny Chinchou will appear on the route you're on and just be like flopping around. And you'll be like, what the heck? What's the disc doing here? There are some weird glitches that can happen in the game. Like sometimes when I'm shiny hunting Rotom, I'll be in rain, because that's the weather that I use to hunt it, and it'll randomly change to sunny weather, and it'll change the zone I'm in to meetup spot, which is the first spot you go to when you enter the wild zone. And if I encounter a Pokemon in that exact moment that that glitch happens, it will be that weather in the encounter. And also, if a Pokemon spawns in that exact moment, it will spawn based off of that weather. Kind of a weird bug. I thought it would be cool to encounter a Rotom right when that glitch happened, and then catch it and have it have the weather mark for that glitched weather. But technically, if it's an overworld spawn, you can get a mark for a weather that it shouldn't be able to appear in, because you can save in front of an overworld spawn, and if it is shiny, then every time you encounter it, it will be shiny, and it will never despawn. So and this is only in the Wild Zone or in the DLC. So technically, if you save before every single encounter, then when you find the overworld spawn that is shiny, you can change it to any weather that you want, and then encounter it, and then if it happened to get that weather mark, it would be that weather, so you can have it have a mark for a weather that it shouldn't have been able to spawn in. Well, there you go! Red squirrel action. Everybody gets to have a shiny Squirrel. It's like part of the game. I mean, it's a shiny, sure. But if you don't intend to use it, I'd be disappointed. You're not going to continue without it. But, you know, you can go, hey, I have it. It's your first one. So you can still be you can still be excited for your first shiny, even if it's not the one you intend to use. What's a good shiny? Not a good Pokemon. But it's a good shiny. Did it have square sparkles? I know it did. Oh. Well, I'm disappointed in you. I didn't notice the orange nose until you pointed it out. I was like, oh, it is orange. I wonder what it changes to when it's shiny, or if it's still orange. Imagine it probably isn't. I mean, I've gotten so many shinies, it doesn't really have the same effect on me anymore. Unless it's something really rare. Like when I got that Applin super fast, I was like, what the heck? What the heck? Stroked down by Zeus? Oh man. I don't want to hear about that. That sounds weird. Zeus did have some weird interactions with mortals. That's how demigods were created. Did lightning happen? Oh. I mean, it happens. Typos happen to the best of us. But you keep you and Zeus's personal life to yourself, alright? You were stroked by Zeus and you got a shiny Yamper. He just pet you like a dog. It's not that bad. The shiny the Yamper? It's probably not. Well, I've gotten one, and mine had the sleepy time mark. Sleepy time. Basculin! There we go. That means the stream is over. The Harbinger of Doom, Basculin. Well, 2 streams in 1 day, 0 shinies in 1 day. We're going for the record. Alright. Well, I'm sure I'll have time tomorrow because I'm going to be double teaming work tomorrow, so I'll probably burn through it pretty quick. So, yeah, we're going to wrap it up here. Good luck on your shiny hunt. I'm sure you will get exactly what you want eventually. Probably won't be today, probably won't be tomorrow, might not be this month, but hopefully sooner than later. Goodbye.